going to say to that coach what I wanted to say, like, you can go ahead and put Eric Stokes and Justin Jefferson the rest of his career. And like he did in 2019 when he was with LSU and Stokes was with Georgia, he killed him. And he killed him again today, and he will kill him every single time they meet. So I'm going to end it right like that. I got to say, in my 20 years of calling Vikings games, that's about the first time I've ever had a coach say something like that to me. So best of luck to you guys the rest of the way. And quite honestly, I hope you lose every single freaking game the rest of the year.
Well, speaking of coaches, Dakota employees are jumping at the opportunity to partner with the refugees and fill thousands of job openings in the state. Dan Hanaher, field director for Lutheran Immigration and Refugee Service North Dakota, says the state's expected to settle 49 Afghan refugees, such as the Afghan Placement and Assistance Program and the attention to local businesses support that. Mike Arnson manages the Fargo Glass Window Manufacturing Plant Fargo-Moorhead to serve the Afghan.
It belongs to a creature from outer space.
Governor Walz and Senate Republicans talk about state incentives to solve the loss of workers going to the tariff. GOP staff correspondent to a look. Governor Polk is returning to a possible special session on that.
64 years until a terrifying.
What's been holding up any special session has been a threat by some Senate Republicans to oust Health Commissioner Dan Malcolm, but a key player, Milwaukee Senator Jim Abrams, signals that stance might possibly change if Governor Tim Walz would agree to prohibit the state from issuing any COVID vaccination mandates.
For me, the assurance that there's not going to be a state-issued COVID vaccination mandate is very important, and that moves me a long way.
You say it moves you a long way. You mean it moves you a long way towards perhaps reconsidering whether Jan Malcolm should be removed?
I would say personally, yeah.
36, partly sunny. This is KFGO News.
From outer space.
River Falls. The patrol said were non-life-threatening injuries. That crash happened around 12:30 this morning. No one's hurt. Homeowners reported 3 cats and 2 dogs missing. No arrests in a Saturday night shooting in St. Paul. Before he died.
So this is the 34th homicide in the city. So far this year, last year, for the entire year. And that was, there was a year of also 34 homicides. This is the third year. That's reached that new milestone.
Joins me in the KFGO studio. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well, Tyler. Thank you.
Back was okay?
Yeah, A-okay.
Yeah.
Yep, yep.
It's been a long ways away. I mean, I think it was late at night when you got home, but I'm glad you're back.
Yeah. I'm glad you were successful on the deer hunting 2021.
Yeah, I'm going to have some
All right. No more teasing you about tag soup.
Correct.
Good.
Yeah, so not one texter. Playoff. We're going to be talking about gas prices here.
Yeah, great. Great.
I noticed when I was filling up the range,
Ooh,
by the way,
ouch. Yeah.
I was happy to find one that was at 309 and not 319 as it was just down the street. But, when it comes to just all the other variables,
Mhm.
you got some of those yellow, gas pumps as well. What's the latest when it comes to renewable?
Well, the EPA, just last week while we were in Kansas City, they announced a proposal extending the renewable volume obligation compliance deadlines for 2019 and 2020, as well as the RVO for 2021. Now, each year, Tyler, under the Clean Air Act, they've got to calculate RVOs that ensure the program's requirements are met for the upcoming year. That deadline each year, November 30th. So their critics would say they're kind of kicking the can down the road. And we had a chance to talk with Chris Bliley. He's the Senior Vice President of Regulatory Affairs for Growth Energy. He says the EPA needs to release those 2021 and 2022 RVOs immediately. He says the Biden administration and the EPA sending the wrong signals on fuel availability and on gas prices, too.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to keep pressing the message. And, overall, our industry, we're very bullish. We're responding to COVID. We're in a much better spot than we were, when fuel demand was down. And so we're going to do what we can to build demand for higher blends like E15 because of the impact they have on the environment, on consumer prices, particularly now with rising prices. And we're going to continue to press EPA to get these RVOs out to provide more certainty. Disappointed with today's announcement, but we're hopeful for the future and hopefully we can get back on track.
The EPA, another thing they have not done yet, issuing decisions on pending small refinery exemptions for the RFS.
Yeah, I was wondering if this administration, because, I was pretty tough on the previous administration for all the waivers and stuff that they had done with these smaller refineries, but I haven't heard much of an update under the Biden administration.
No, Michael Regan, when they were trying to confirm him to be the administrator of the EPA, said what you do say before Congress, we'll take care of it, we'll get on top of it, we'll let you know. Well, doggone it.
Yeah, well, here we are. I mean, it's been it's November 22nd right now, and some answers would be all right at this point.
Yeah, the EPA did reject one petition from 2019, but there's still 32 pending petitions for that year. So
32.
Work yet to be done.
There is. I appreciate the update, and when there's more to be done and spoken, I'll expect that from you.
I'll let you know.
Perfect.
I'll let you know.
Rusty Alverson, you can check out more of his work, Sarah Heinrich as well. Go to KFGO.com. Just click on that agriculture tab, all conveniently right there for you. CBS National News on the way. Let's talk gas prices of this holiday season next with Gene Leducer.
Get amongst it, get on it now. Get amongst it.
A lot of people are going to be taking to the roadways in the next couple of days for the Thanksgiving holiday. And you know what? If you've been filling up or looking at the gas prices, yeah, it's going to take a little dent out of the checkbook. Here to tell us more about that, Gene Ledouce with AAA, a friend of the show. How are you doing, Gene?
Very good. Yourself?
I'm doing well. It's one of those short weeks. I was kind of teasing that. I think this is one of those weeks where we can all agree people are just, you know what? We're just coasting through it till we get to Thursday. So we're in that kind of that groove on a Monday afternoon anyway.
Yeah, they're just getting ready to get out of town.
Yep, and there's going to be a lot of them. I do believe. I did see some reporting at AAA forecasting millions upon millions, and I'm guessing that demand to get out, because last year, you know what, we were all kind of hunkered down. You know, we were asked to, and I think certainly a lot of us were. That pent up demand to get out, see the family and the friends, I think is pretty high this go around.
Yeah, a lot of people had to, put off seeing their family and friends for Thanksgiving last year, so they're going to make up for it this year, and we're going to see travel near pre-pandemic levels. More than 53 million Americans are expected to travel over this weekend.
Wow. I'm curious, vast majority, do we assume, is going to be taken to the roadways themselves, getting in behind the wheel and traveling, or are we talking more air travel, all the above?
Kind of all of the above,
yeah.
But yeah, the vast majority of them will be taken to the roads. About 90% or more than 48 million people will be hitting the roads. But we are going to see a great big jump in air travel also. We're going to see about an 80% increase in the number of people boarding aircraft this weekend. So no matter where you're going, you're going to expect to see people.
Yeah. I mean, is it because we're more at ease? Do you think, Gene, that, you know what, we know kind of how to mitigate this pandemic? There's more people vaccinated that, all right, you know what, I'll get on the plane with you. I'll get on the train, the Amtrak. Is it that people are more at ease this go around?
Yeah, our surveys show that people are a little bit more at ease. They're comfortable with their vaccination status. They kind of know how to avoid COVID the best they can. Plus the CDC is giving people the go-ahead if they're vaccinated to travel. So all of the above, people are just feeling a little bit better about being able to safely travel.
Let's talk about how much it's going to cost people to fill up that car. I was traveling this weekend, and it seemed like the average is probably about $3.19 I was seeing across most of the way. I was fortunate to find one gas station that had $3.09. What are gas prices looking like going into Thanksgiving?
Well, statewide in North Dakota, they're about $3.19 a gallon. Minnesota, they're about $3.16 a gallon. If you're traveling for the Thanksgiving holiday, if you travel south and east, you can probably find gas at or below what you're paying here. If you travel west, you're likely to find higher prices.
What's the driving factor behind this high gas price? I mean, I see stickers that end up on gas pumps that are political in nature, but what's been the driving factor this go-round as to gas prices being what they are?
Well, it's largely the price of oil, which is a case of increased demand, rapidly increasing demand, and the supply not being able to keep up with it. So it's going to be this way for a little while. Right now, we're paying about $1.20 more than we were this time last year, the highest price for the holiday in about 8 years. But we're starting to see signs of maybe some relaxing. Oil has fallen about $7 a barrel here since the first of the month. That equates to about 15 to 20 cents a gallon at the pump. And unless things turn around, we could probably see that savings at the pump leading up to Christmas.
I was reading my mind here. I was saying, okay, well, if we're starting to see a little bit of ease on the checkbook, is this a trend that's going to continue, or are we going to get back down to where, all right, people aren't talking gas prices because, you know what, it's under, and I don't know what that figure is for some people. I mean, certainly when it hits the $3 mark is when it seems people start paying attention, talking about. I don't know if it's $2.50, but you're saying, maybe around Christmas we'll still be heading in the right direction.
Yeah, I think we'll start to see gasoline prices move a little lower leading up to Christmas and even through probably mid-February. I would be surprised if we're not back below $3 a gallon by the first of the year on a statewide average. And you're right, we generally hear it grumbling around $3 a gallon. We don't see really any change in behavior until about $3.50 a gallon. And then people start to wonder why they bought that larger pickup truck or SUV when they're driving a smaller sedan when those gas was $3.50 to $4 before.
Oh, and I was going to ask that question of the audience at 35270. At what price per gallon do you decide to start changing your travel habits? Because I mean, for me, it's a necessity. I'm going to pay whatever it is. It hasn't deterred me. But I'm sure some people have that price point saying, well, look, if it gets to about $3.50, $4, then guess what? Grandma's getting a card in the mail instead of a hug at the dinner table type thing. I'll ask that question. Some questions coming in for you, though, Gene. Gene Leducer is our guest, AAA. Tyler, why are gas prices higher in Fargo than they are in Minneapolis? It's never been that way, according to this individual. You have any reasoning, Gene?
I really don't, but I have been finding that it seems like Fargo has lost its competitive edge in the pricing of gasoline. Fargo used to be well below other metro areas in the area. Now they're running at or even sometimes above Bismarck and Grand Forks. So I really don't have an explanation for it other than perhaps they've lost their competitive edge here.
Well, and let's take that a step further. Back when we were competitive, I'm curious. What was it that Fargo had the ability to do that having that competitive edge? Do you know?
Well, largely it had to do, I think, with the volume. A lot of gas is sold in Fargo because of the two interstate systems. We have the largest population in the region. We have the Costco and the Sam's Club here. Now we're seeing, the other metro areas are becoming more competitive. So there's so many factors that go into the pricing of gasoline. It's always hard to put your fingers on the pulse of what's happening.
Gene, do you ever run into an instance where, just because you observe this is your line of work, the price gouging as far as at the pump, do you ever get the sense that some of that's going on? Because I've got some of that coming into the text club right now.
No, I have not had that sense that there's any price gouging going on anywhere in the region. But last year was a tough year for everyone in the fuel business, everything from the producers all the way up to the retail. And some of them may be, trying to get their money back that they lost last year. There's a lot of people invest in it, and businesses are in it to make money. They're not in it to save you money. They're in it to make money for themselves as well as their investors and shareholders. So everyone along the chain is trying to recover from last year, and there may be some initiative to increase margins a little bit going on, but I don't see any price gouging going on at all.
Very good. Gene, is there anything else that I neglected to ask you before I let you go so you can enjoy the rest of your day?
No, I think we're good. We're just hoping everyone has a safe and happy holiday and come back safely next week and get ready to turn around and enjoy Christmas.
Very good. Yeah, it's moving by fast. I can't believe we're already talking Thanksgiving this week, but it's not slowing down. It doesn't have any signs of it either. Gene, I always appreciate your time, man. You take care. Have a happy Thanksgiving.
Very good. You too.
All right. Thank you. Gene Leducer, AAA. Well, how far are you driving? How far are you going this holiday season, especially if you didn't get a chance to the last year? Curious, where are you going? 35270. Also, is there a price of which you drive by the gas pump and say, you know what, because it's that figure per gallon, I'm not going? Curious to that answer to that question as well. Get your weather update from Too Tall Tom Szymanski. First hour of Afternoons Live, wrapping up next.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm KFGO Chief Meteorologist Too Tall Tom Szymanski. Partly sunny or becoming that way, depending upon where you are or where you are not. I'm near 35, south wind at 7 to 18. Mostly clear, top 25 tonight. That's steadier, slowly rising temperature. Southeast wind at 6 to 16. Sunny, breezy tomorrow. 50. How about that? Nice day. South wind 11 to 6. Wednesday, wind
64 years.
29:30. Then schedule temperature Thanksgiving. Sunny tonight. How about Friday through the weekend? I'll tell you all about that and more next hour.
Currently 36 degrees in the KFGO studios. More afternoons live with Tyler Axness coming up right after this.
No. It belongs to a creature from outer space.
Welcome back. We're about 6 minutes removed from the top of the hour. You can stream us now on the YouTube, and we're getting more personalities with cameras now. So radio no longer a thing of just the car airwaves. You can actually sit and watch us do radio as well. KFGO.com. You can go there, check out all the latest. Whether that's on the stream or if you want to check out the latest news, Paul Driggers of that KFGO news team doing fantastic work throughout there. In fact, we're going to talk a little bit about that in the second hour here. There's a few things, and I got messages in, and I will get back to those. The fact that Target is saying, look, we're going to be closed on Thanksgiving, this seems like such a common sense way. I mean, when we were talking about some of the changes when it comes to retail, when it comes to restaurants, our dining habits, I said, look, I think we're getting pretty spoiled. You know, when we had all these different places we could go that, you know, we expect something to be open all the time, regardless if it's a holiday. I applaud Target for saying, look, we're going to keep this place closed on Thanksgiving so the employees can spend time with their friends and family. I mean, personally, I hope that more follow suit, and it sounds like Target's trying to encourage them, those other businesses to do the same. People just need a day, 2 days of rest, right? So I applaud Target for doing that, but we'll have that conversation a little bit. Also, the resettlement of Afghanistan refugees. We've had Dan Hanrahan a couple of times talking about this because we had, you know, governors saying, well, we don't really want to take any of these resettlements. And I'd ask you when we're watching the withdrawal unfold, would you welcome them as your neighbors? And I didn't have anybody really say no. So here we are, and that's what we're going to be doing with the few days ahead here, in the few weeks, is we're going to be welcoming them as neighbors. And I suspect that a lot of them are going to be right here in the Red River Valley. They try to, find places where they have family or there are other populations of that same background. And I got to suspect that the Fargo-Moorhead area is going to be that place in the upper Midwest here. So we'll have that conversation and so much more coming up. When we come back, though, I want to get to, there was some comments when I was talking about the Kyle Rittenhouse and not taking advantage and the other lawsuits that could be pending. Because I was visiting with an attorney friend over the weekend as well about this, because you have the criminal side now done. Jury says, look, he did not murder. It was self-defense. But you still have those victims' families. Of the two individuals that were shot and killed, and there are some legal implications as to what they could do as well when it comes to civil lawsuits. So I'll break that down, and I'll get into some of the messages you had, as well as the whole politics behind gas prices. That's coming up after the CBS National News headlines. You me this microphone, your cell phone, the whole next hour, whatever you want to talk about, I'm here for you. I'm Tyler Axness. You got locked into KFGO Afternoons Live. We are going to be talking sports as well. Derek Hansen, our usual Monday breakdown of the games and, quite frankly, the playoff brackets coming out for FCS. There's a lot to break down. Were you surprised? I picked the Minnesota Vikings to win that game, and I will give you my thoughts on that. Also, Cam Newton returning to the Carolina Panthers. Many of you don't care, but we'll talk about that as well. A sad loss to the Washington football team. That's coming up. Plus, we got audio from Paul Allen. He was not happy with the Green Bay Packers coach. We'll try to break down what happened. That's all coming up in a little bit. I'm Tyler Axness. Stay with us. So as though this person was reading my mind, typically during this little break here, I was going to tell you, on this date, and this message comes with Tyler, 58 years ago today, our beloved president was assassinated. Hadn't heard anyone mention it. And in fact, I was going to. Yeah, today in history, President John F. Kennedy was assassinated in Dallas, Texas. On this day, 1963, and I know that for those that lived through that, remember, you have certain events, certain tragedies that happen that you can almost paint the picture of where you were, what was going on, and the details of which. I was reading from a former colleague of mine how they were up in Mayville when the news broke, and they were let out of school earlier that day, and they went to someone's house to watch TV of that news. This has to be one. I think when the Challenger exploded is another one of those. Certainly the 9/11 tragedy. This is one of those moments that if you were around for it, you probably remember exactly what you were doing when the news came down that President John F. Kennedy was assassinated. That was on this day in 1963. So thanks for sending that text in and making sure that I did get that out. More messages coming in about Kyle Rittenhouse, the verdict in on Friday. We did talk about it then, but it certainly carried over throughout the week, and we'll continue that conversation right after this KFGO news.
KFGO News, partly sunny, Fargo-Moorhead 36. I'm Paul Jurgens. Governor Walz has activated the National Guard to serve as skilled nursing rapid response teams to support healthcare facilities with severe staffing shortages. Over the next 7 days, 400 soldiers and airmen will train as certified nursing assistants and temporary nursing aides to support the activation. The Department of Health and National Guard medical staff will provide the training. Since mid-October, more than 70 service members have supported COVID-19 community-based testing at locations in Stillwater, Crookston, Hutchinson, Inver Grove Heights, Wadena, and Hibbing. Since the beginning of this month, nearly 50 Guard members have supported transition care units at sites in Shakopee, Brainerd, and St. Paul. The process of resettling dozens of Afghan refugees in North Dakota continues. Dan Hanaher is Field Director for Lutheran Immigration and Refugee Service North Dakota.
To date, we will have received 23, all with either family ties or friend ties. It's what we call U.S. ties. So they're all being welcomed by people that they know, either from family or friendship, and are resettling into mostly the Fargo area, although we have had an individual settle in Lisbon and another in Gwinner. But it's moving rapidly, but so far smoothly.
North Dakota is expected to see a total of 49 Afghan evacuees. Hanaher says with the thousands of job openings here, employment opportunities are a blessing. One person was killed and 2 others were hurt in a head-on crash early this morning near Thief River Falls, Minnesota. A subcompact crossed over the center line of a road west of Highway 59 and collided head-on with a pickup coming from the opposite direction. The pickup driver died. A man and woman from Red Lake Falls were taken to Sanford Medical Center in Thief River Falls with non-life-threatening injuries. The crash was reported around 12:30 this morning, not far from Seven's job openings here. Twin Cities-based Target will no longer open its stores on Thanksgiving Day, making permanent a shift to the official start of the holiday season that was suspended during the pandemic. To limit crowds in stores, retailers last year were forced to turn what had become a weekend shopping blitz into an extended event with holiday sales beginning as early as October. Fargo-Moorhead, mid to upper 30s for our high this afternoon. We are at 36 now, partly sunny, mostly clear overnight, 25. Temperatures rising overnight, or at least holding steady. Then tomorrow, mostly sunny, 50. Partly sunny, it's 36. Paul Jurgens, News Radio, KFGO.
Boy, I hadn't heard this song in a while. Good drop. This is one of those songs that you really just want to speed up a little bit more when you're driving. Turn it up maybe at 11. All right, Eric. Which singer? There's a bit that we've got going on, ladies and gentlemen, in which I challenged Eric Johnson and Rusty Halverson to tell me which singer it was for AC/DC in any given song.
And
So,
I think we both did
child.
all right. I'm going to lean Bon Scott on this one. And based on your face, I'm not sure. I'm going to go with Bon Scott.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yes, it is Bon Scott. Good job. Yeah. Good tune. Here, we'll dive in because we've got some messages coming into 35270. I mean, the Kyle Rittenhouse trial, the verdict, he was not guilty, all charges. And I got this, I was visiting with an attorney friend over the weekend after we had the conversation with Mark Frees, Volga Law, to break down the trial and the verdict. And I think the longer the trial went on, it didn't surprise me, the verdict coming back as it did. That's why I asked the question in the last hour. During the course of that trial, did your opinion on it change at all? And I do think that is because of the ability that we were able to watch with cameras in the courtroom. And the way of which some of the stuff was presented, I'll repeat myself one more time. Prosecution didn't do themselves any favors. I mean, they had a tall order of trying to make their case in the case of the state of the charges that were brought, but they didn't. They were out attorneyed, quite frankly, as well. But I mean, my opinion of it changed throughout the course of that trial. But so we were having the conversation with Mark about, all right, the legal, the criminal side of this is now behind Kyle Rittenhouse. And one thing that you have thrown out consistently in this conversation is, well, what about his mom? I mean, she drove him there. And I don't care the distance. I know some people say, well, look, it's basically driving from Fargo to Moorhead. And I don't care if it was 5 miles, if it was 35 miles, if it was 500 miles. She drove him there. And I think we all can agree that had that not taken place, this would not have happened. And he would not have been on trial. But that's the criminal side of this. And I've got a message from one of my attorney friends that, and I'm just going to paraphrase because it's pretty lengthy here, but that they expect this coming week or perhaps in December that there's a possibility that both Kyle Rittenhouse and perhaps his mom are going to be sued in civil lawsuit for wrongful death and negligence. And the way of which the bar isn't set as high for the to get that judgment. And he brings up the OJ, think about the OJ, he was acquitted for criminal charges but found liable for wrongful death, and it was a huge verdict. So this attorney thinks that there's a chance that this could go forward. I don't know. That's his opinion. But I found it interesting because there's the sense I got on Friday visiting with you was worry about what reaction there would be, in particular out on the streets. I didn't see anything. I mean, certainly there was emotions running high for people that were out across the street from each other shouting, but I didn't see anything escalate. And we did make note of that on Friday, that was part of the situation that even created the situation he found himself is because people were all protesting. So I was glad I didn't see that. If I missed it and you saw it to say in another city, by all means, inform me. 237-5948 is the Lenny studio line. And you can also text into 35270. So I heard the worry, and then again was the commentary on, well, that's just it. It's over now, and I get the sense that it's not. Well, according to this attorney that says, look, there could be other lawsuits pending for him and his mother, which the mother playing a key role here. So the messages that have been coming in, Tyler, Kyle Rittenhouse went to trial. He claimed self-defense and a jury agreed. The 3 people Kyle shot are not victims. They were attackers. A jury said if anyone was a victim, it was Kyle. Tyler, I don't think there's a law for being stupid, so people should give up on why his mother took him there. I know it was stupid, but there's no law. I think it's supposed to be laws against that. I agree. When people have thrown that out, saying she should be charged for A, B, or C, I don't think she violated any laws. Now, of course, I'm not the attorney, and the one that's texted me over the weekend saying there was this possibility that there could be, a lawsuit, a civil lawsuit for her actions. That's above and beyond my pay grade of a talk show host. But I mean, you're right. It was stupid. I don't know of anybody that thinks that decision that she made to drive him over there was the right one. I don't. So she made that decision. We played the audio of her being on NBC News, and I was thinking that maybe there would be a moment from some self-reflection on her part, the accountability of, well, geez, I really goofed up there. I didn't get that sense. I did not get that sense from his mother. And if you did, by all means, explain it to me. Other messages that came in that I wanted to get to that were a little bit earlier. Tyler, I agree with you that I hope Rittenhouse is not taken advantage of by creepy blank politicians. Conversely, I hope he sues the pants off of every media source and politician, including the president, for labeling him a racist white supremacist the day after it happened until the verdict. Yeah, and I don't know about the lawsuits happening after the fact, but the taking advantage of and using him and putting him up on a pedestal is the wrong move right now. I do believe that. He's going to be on, I think, Tucker Carlson tonight. And you've been hearing some of that audio right here on CBS. Of course, that's a Fox News show. You've already seen those creepy blank politicians, as described by this texter, saying, look, he's going to be an intern for me. And they're combating. I think is it Madison Cawthorn? I can't remember his name. He's a new member of Congress, I think, that was just elected in, was it 2020 or 2018? He's been making the rounds quite a bit. You got Matt Gaetz, and I think it was that Representative Gozar who just got censured by the House because he was putting out memes or videos of anime cartoons in which he was violent towards AOC. So, I mean, this now adult, 18 years old, just went through the trial that was one of the most public things. And to have him be, I think, taken advantage of, quite frankly, just to further other political ambitions or to get those ratings, I think is the wrong move. And that's where I don't know if the defense attorneys are like, okay, we're done here. I'm glad we're of service. I hope that they're at least looking out for that side of this as well and continuing to give some advice. There are more messages coming in. I tell you what, I'll get to all those right after these quick message breaks here. Lots of thoughts. Tyler, who bought the gun? I have that information. I'll try to find it again. I think it was a friend that stored it out at his parents' farmstead that was over by Kenosha, and he lied. And in fact, he's been charged, I think, with some felonies because he bought that gun for a minor, then lied about it. And he actually took to the stand from the prosecution side because he was trying to get lesser charges for what he had done. Certainly some issues there as well. More Afternoons Live right after this. Stay with us. all the drinkers of the KFGO News Center and just a little bit of time. Meantime, we'll I wonder if GoFundMe will pay his civil trial. There was millions of dollars donated to his legal defense fund. In fact, I think it was during yesterday when I was scrolling through trying to get the latest. I seem to remember coming across the headline that a police officer, I think, actually donated like $25 to the legal defense fund. I think he got reprimanded at his job, but now with the verdict coming back saying not guilty, I think he's now been put back on the job. So, I mean, there were people from all walks of life that were donating to his defense fund. Now, as far as if a civil lawsuit does come, oh yeah, I'm sure there'll be a lot of money that go to this attorney that I was visiting with, though, said when it comes to paying judgments, though, if in fact that does happen, that's where that money might not be pouring through as well. Tyler, the burden of proof in a civil action is preponderance of the evidence, which is just over 50% coming in. Well, that's where, without reasonable doubt versus in the civil suit, I don't know that if a lawsuit one does get brought forward against him and his mom or just one or the other, I don't know the chances of that actually being successful either. I have no idea. I just found it interesting because there was just that sense of, well, that's it now, right? And that doesn't seem as though that is necessarily going to be the case. I tell her my concern is why would any mother drop their child off in the middle of a mess with a gun? Yeah, that's a question that nobody can answer. Because I don't think hardly anyone would have done that. And she did. Tyler also, I have heard there have been a number of people smashing into stores, stealing merchandise and running. Not sure if this is related to this case or not. I don't think so. And I'd seen it just before the show started. And I don't remember what store or even where the location is, but it sounds, and the snippet that I heard is, you've got groups of individuals breaking into stores, looting and running. And I think the same store has been hit like 3 nights in a row. Eric Johnson, my producer, right? You and I were talking about that before the show. Do you remember where it was?
No, I don't.
CBS just brought it up too. Yes. I think at the top of the show here at 2:00. So I'll try to find that information. But my understanding, there's no relation between the verdict and those idiotic incidents that are happening in parts of the country. And I think it's the same place. I have no idea why. I tell her my question. Is it possible the U.S. Department of Justice goes after a violation for, I think it's supposed to be for the deceased civil rights? Great question. I don't have an answer for you. I don't. But the legal aspect of it, the criminal side, that is forever done. But, you could hear it, and I don't fault them. And I know people are going to be upset when I say victims again, because they're saying that, look, the only victim in this was Kyle Rittenhouse, so that's what the jury said. But there were 2 people that are dead. And understandably, when the verdict comes in, they were pretty upset. They didn't feel like justice was served because they lost 2 people. So I wouldn't be surprised if they've been visiting with attorneys saying, is there something that we could do outside of the criminal charges, the civil lawsuit, because you know what? We still lost a son. We still lost a brother, or, going down that path. So there could be more coming. But I don't think it's going to be as heightened emotionally as, quite frankly, the trial was when it came to did he go and commit murder? And the jury said no. On all of the charges that were brought, he did not. That it was self-defense. The self-defense argument in this case versus the 3 individuals that the closing arguments are right now in this it's the Ahmaud Arbery murder trial. Their argument to self-defense, I think, is a tougher hill to climb than what the Rittenhouse one was. And I think that if I'm going to take a task with the prosecution on the Rittenhouse, I'm going to applaud what I've been seeing from the prosecution in this case, saying, look, you didn't go and pick up the phone and call 911. You went and said, all right, well, go get the gun, and we're going to go out and we're going to get this guy, that's running through the neighborhood. And so this case is troubling to me. And I said that in the last hour, and I'm curious if you've been following along with this, because it's last week, certainly the eyes of the nation were on Rittenhouse. I think the eyes right now are watching as the defense attorney for Rody Bryan down, I think it's in Georgia, is underway. Eric, you got it. It was at San Jose is where these lootings have been happening. And I don't think they're related to the verdict coming down at all. 237-594. It's the Lenny studio line. More messages at 35270. We're going to talk sports just a little bit. Derek Hansen, host of Couch Potato Radio, going to be in. We have the audio. We'll play it. Paul Allen, the post game yesterday, he was not happy with a Packers coach. I don't know whether it was the head coach, but we'll just play it for you. And you can make your own conclusions, but I've not heard Paul Allen that testy ever. So we'll play that, and we'll see if we can get some more answers. More messages coming in. I'm Tyler Axness. You are listening to Afternoons Live on either 790 AM, 104.7 FM, or streaming us worldwide at YouTube, KFGO.com. Multiple ways to take the show with you. We got a little bit of an announcement coming up, perhaps tomorrow, too. Something you're going to really want to be paying attention to, because it's got to do maybe with the holidays as well. Stay with us. More Afternoons Live right after this.
KFGO News, Fargo-Moorhead. It is partly sunny and 36. I'm Paul Jurgens. The Minnesota National Guard will deploy 400 members to reinforce nursing staffs at long-term care centers that have been struggling with severe employee shortages. Governor Tim Walz has also proposed using $50 million in federal coronavirus relief money to help them hire and retain staff. The Guard members will start training as certified nursing assistants as a temporary nursing aides over the next week. The reinforcements come from the Guard and followed the governor's announcement last week that the Department of Defense will send medical teams to Hennepin County Medical Center and St. Cloud Hospital. North Dakota reported 118 overdose deaths last year. That is a 49% increase from 2019, when 79 deaths were reported. The director of the Behavioral Health Division of the State Human Services Department says her division has a number of strategies to try and get that number of overdose deaths down. Pam Sagnes says one strategy is to help people get the treatment they need, but she says that is a challenge.
Some of the most effective treatments for opioid use disorder, it's methadone. And in North Dakota, those opioid treatment programs are only located in 3 of our primary cities. And so individuals can drive many, hundreds of miles, in a week or in a day, just accessing that vital medication every day.
Axness says the department is working on expanding treatment availability.
We have some funding out to expand those services into other areas like Grand Forks and in the West, and so we're very optimistic that we'll see better access to those medications and to those treatment programs.
Nationally, overdose deaths topped the 100,000 mark last year. 36 degrees, this is KFGO News. "36 degrees, this is KFGO News. An unattended candle was the cause of a house fire in Minot this morning. Fire crews found smoke coming from the basement of the home. The fire was put out quickly. No one was hurt. The homeowner reported 3 cats and 1 dog missing while firefighters were on scene. All 4 house pets were rescued. Fargo Parks will celebrate the start of the holiday season this week. Tomorrow marks the lighting of the downtown Broadway Christmas tree in Broadway Square, along with the opening of the downtown ice rink. Fargo Parks Marketing and Communications Manager Katie McCormick.
We love this because it's basically like a Hallmark movie set in downtown Fargo. It's going to be great. Fargo Parks has been bringing the holiday spirit downtown for about 40 years, and this is our 2nd year doing it at Broadway Square, and we're just so excited.
The event will run from 5 to 6 with skate rentals starting Wednesday. North Dakota Game and Fish has announced a plan to bring landowners, conservation groups, scientists, and others together to restore native grasslands. The agency says North Dakota has lost more than 70% of its native prairie, which is essential for wildlife, pollinators, ranching, and communities. The Meadowlark Initiative allows farmers and ranchers to plant marginal cropland back to diverse native perennial grasslands for grazing. Money is available to establish the grass and to install grazing infrastructure, such as fencing and water. They're also eligible to receive rental payments for the first 3 years as the land transitions from cropland to grazing land. Fargo-Moorhead, a mostly clear sky overnight. Our low about 25, and then steadier rising temperatures. On our way to near 50 tomorrow, mostly sunny. Wednesday, our high near 30, probably in the morning, and then steadier falling temperatures, cloudy and windy, some scattered flurries. Thursday is Thanksgiving, mostly sunny and 22. 38 for Friday, partly sunny, and the weekend, partly sunny both Saturday and Sunday. Highs 38 to 43. Fargo-Moorhead, partly sunny, it's 36 degrees. Paul Juergens, News Radio, KFGO.
You know, Rusty, there are still some people out combining corn this weekend.
Yeah.
There's not a whole lot of variables aside of just taking one sweet time, I think, for some of the individuals that were out there.
Well, some guys had a lot of corn.
There's a couple of people in mind. I'm thinking, maybe they had a lot. Maybe it was just a lot of time that they didn't really feel like being in the combine.
Well, yeah.
I think they finished up last night.
Okay.
So I think they're good. But
okay.
I was surprised at how much corn there was still out there in certain parts.
Yeah. Yep. There was, a lot of corn acres. Talked to one fella at a kind of a summary. It was a harvest festival. The doggone thing we went to in there. The axe water and the berries.
Oh, yes. Okay, yeah.
Yes.
That got there. It just took me a little bit of time.
Me too. But
it's Monday afternoon.
Yeah, thank you. But talking with him, he had a good solid month of corn cutting to do. So.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah.
Yep.
Well, and corn, soybeans, those are the couple rotations. I know you're visiting with one of those soybean board farmers earlier.
Yeah, United Soybean Board. At Trade Talk at our NAFB convention, we gather in leaders of the commodity groups, so lots of agribusiness partners and whatnot, and farm broadcasters from all around the nation have a chance to ask them questions. And we talked with Dan Farney. He's a grower from Morton, Illinois, and he is chair of the United Soybean Board. And Dan is a corn and soybean farmer, and like many guys, input costs top of his mind for next year. Now, Dan in central Illinois, he's had a 50-50 corn-soybean rotation in the past, and He told me he's sticking with that plan for next year despite all of the unknowns for next season.
I tell you, it's different than anything I've ever seen before. The fertilizer price increases, whether we can get crop protection materials that we need, it's all questions are up in the air. My current plans, so I'm a 50-50 rotation, and my current plans is actually to stay with that rotation. So far I've got all of my fall fertilizing fertility needs are done and applied and stuff like that. And
big first step.
Yes, so it was a great fall. We got it done.
A lot of guys still looking ahead to next spring and application, whether supply is going to be there, what the price may be.
Fertilizer was uttered more times than I expected over the weekend.
Oh, boy. Yeah. And DTN, they track retail prices. We've talked about that before, Tyler. Their latest numbers, anhydrous leading the way once again, an average price of $1,162 per ton. Again, a national average. Could be higher, could be lower. Higher around our part of the country, unfortunately, and that'd be up around 33% from last month, according to that DTN retailer survey.
Everything.
Yep.
More expensive this time.
Yep.
It's unfortunate.
Yep, it is.
And a lot of people up there are wondering, geez, start saving now or hopefully there's a program or something. It's just, they're not having a lot of fun.
No.
There's rightful concern as just to how expensive everything's going to be.
Yep.
And you're going to get what you put in.
Yep. But there was still optimism expressed among all the folks that, that I talked to. Still optimism. And, get her done.
Get her done.
Yeah.
Rusty, appreciate it, man.
You bet.
Anything else before I let you go on this Monday afternoon?
A lot of sayings in
agriculture.
Yeah. One other thing is talking with a farm broadcaster.
Yeah.
He was from Kansas, and you know how we had drought up here last year and concern to everybody. They had dry conditions starting to set in their neck of the woods in Kansas, Clay Center, Kansas, in about August, September. So that's something to watch because, if that's at play as we go through winter and into spring emergence for their winter wheat down there, depending on what develops down there, that could be another supportive leg to wheat prices.
Yeah, that very well could be.
We'll see.
I hadn't been following along. I didn't realize that there were. I mean, it seems as though the entire western part of the United States had been dealing with drier weather.
Yeah, but now it's creeping into down there. But the old saying goes, "Plant into dust, bins will bust." We've talked about that before.
That's one of them farm sayings you're talking about.
Yeah, you bet.
There you go. You can check out more of Rusty and Sarah's work at KFGO.com. Just click on that agriculture tab. We'll chat again tomorrow, all right, man?
Okay.
All right. CBS National News on the way. More of your thoughts at 35270. I will share those with the rest of the audience. Also, Derek Hansen will be in just about 20 minutes' time. Let's talk about Vikings, Packers, NDSU, UND. It's all on the table. So talking sports, Derek Hansen.
It belongs to a creature from outer space.
We were talking about fantasy football on the break. How's it going for you out there? Because you know what? I've given up. I've thrown my hands. I've walked away. I started much like the Panthers did at the beginning of the season. Boy, I was hot.
just flying high, feeling good.
I could do no wrong. I think the first 4 weeks, undefeated, I don't even dare look right now.
I hope, though, that you are still setting your lineup, because it is real frustrating when you've got the team
do that, yeah.
that just leaves half their lineup. So you give the freebies to people, and it screws up with potential postseason activities.
Yep, and here's what happens in our league. It's between two guys of they do this. So then they lose, and then they get last in league. So then they get the auto draft picks of the best players, and then they win, but then they stop setting lineups, and then they come crashing down. It's like, you just don't do it then.
Don't be that guy. I mean,
I'm
we
trying.
can all get
trying to-
frustrated in fantasy. Just set a lineup. Have everybody in your lineup be
Don't have
playing.
somebody on your bench. But boy, the injury bug got me good this year.
And I think that you are not in the minority on that one, because there's been some big names that have gotten hurt throughout this year.
Yes. Yep. There's my excuse there. I have an excuse for a lot of things, but Tyler, don't beat up the prima donna too much. He had a hurt foot. We must be talking about Aaron Rodgers. Well, that NFL is just brutal. Poor guy. Hopefully someone else inherits his attitudes and injuries. I mean, he looked off for part of yesterday's game. There's no doubt. Now, was it the injured foot? Perhaps. And I mean, he started to connect, I think, in that second half. But it seems the play calling, and we'll visit with Derek Hansen just about 10 minutes time here about this. The play calling for the Minnesota Vikings seems to have adjusted. And adjusted in the way that you've got the talent of Justin Jefferson, and you're actually trying to utilize that. Groundbreaking thoughts from the offensive, was it Clint Kubiak? It's like you've got the high-octane offense when you've got Dalvin Cook and you've got a dynamic duo of a wide receiving core and Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson. Get them the ball. And it seems as though there's a swagger more with the Vikings now, I think, at this part of the season than there certainly was at the beginning part of the season. But there's a lot of season left. And if you've been following along at all with the NFL, it's anybody's game. I mean, you think about, who's the top dogs? I mean, Arizona, the Cardinals were the top of the NFL just a couple weeks ago. They lost to the Panthers. You have the Bills losing to Jacksonville. You've got those, what in our minds were that top tier, like when there was separation going on about midway through the season. That's not really there anymore. It seems as though we're all kind of clustered yet again. I mean, certainly there's a few teams out there that have, 3 losses. But any given Sunday, this year in particular, feels like any team from the bottom to the top can go in and lose a game.
How about the Buffalo Bills? They looked like they were legitimate Super Bowl winning contenders, and then they lose that awful game to Jacksonville and just get destroyed by Indy yesterday. 5 touchdowns for Jonathan Taylor.
Ooh. That guy's looking good, by the way.
Yeah, once
if you have him on your fantasy, congratulations.
Once Derrick Henry got out of the way and he realized that he could be the leading rusher in the league, he took off like a rocket.
Yeah, there are no holding him back. That's for sure. Either way, I hope your fantasy's doing better than mine. We were talking off and on about the Kyle Rittenhouse, the verdict that came in, and dust has settled. But as we're talking about, as potential for civil lawsuits from the families of the deceased. I don't know that I don't know if it will, but just keep that in the back of your mind that there's a possibility that this could be coming, and that's just according to some attorney friends that I have. Tyler, Kyle's life has changed forever. I hope he is mature enough to handle it. Yeah, well, I'll be curious, and I'm not saying that I'm going to watch it. There's a Monday Night Football game I'll probably watch instead. But he's going to be on Tucker Carlson tonight. And you'll see all the clips, I'm sure, throughout tomorrow. And I'll be curious the way in which he approaches it. To judge the mature enough to handle it, I guess. Because the line of questioning will be... I mean, if you follow along with Tucker Carlson, I think there will be the line of questioning won't be real hard hitting, is what I'll say. But it depends on how he handles himself in that situation now with the verdict coming in as not guilty. 237-594 it. That's why I'm going to connect with Greg. Greg, thanks for calling. How are you?
Oh, pretty good. Yeah, a quick question. This character, whatever, he had his of age person buy that AK-47 or whatever the heck it was.
AR-15,
yeah, whatever. And he's 17. He's underage. And then he has somebody buy this weapon for him and let the guy use it till he's turned. Shouldn't there have been some kind of a misdemeanor or felony charge for that they could hang him on?
Greg, the judge threw out the weapons violation for Kyle. But the individual that bought the gun for Kyle, that was illegal, and he does have charges. I don't know how long it'll be before we know whether or not he is in fact found guilty of violation. But he took to the stand against Kyle to try to lesser some of his charges because he illegally bought that gun. So there is some of that still in the making as well.
Then one more quick one. Okay, you're defending your property. Say you live at 2020 Broadway, whatever, just for fun. You're worried about somebody looting or burning your house or doing damage. Okay, you got every right to do that. But when you're walking down a street several hundred feet away from your house, aren't you kind of on the offensive and not really trying to defend, but more like out there trying to offend, I guess you could say. Instead of defend, you're out there trying to find somebody to, in their face.
It sounds like you're kind of trying to figure out where that line is to where you are no longer defending property, but you're being more of the aggressor. I think that what the jury sided with is, he was out, but he was then in fact the one being pursued. And I got to let you go, Greg, so I got a weather update here. I appreciate the phone call. And the argument comes, and we've had it before, is, defending property, but can you take one's life in doing so? I think that gray area has been one of the focus on this. Now, granted, with the self-defense of him getting hit with the skateboard, the other individual that was shot, remember, there was 3, 2 of them died. The other one admitted that he was pointing a gun as well. So, I mean, that bolstered the self-defense argument there. I got to get you this weather update. More Afternoons Live right after this.
Your readings number 1 of KFGO chief meteorologist, Too Tall Tom Szymanski. Overnight, mostly clear, down to about 25, stuck on a quarter, so to speak. Then temperatures after midnight will be steady or slowly rising. South to southeast wind 6 to 16 tomorrow, mostly sunny, breezy. We'll try for 50. You heard me right. We'll try for 50. South wind at 11 to 26. Then it goes back the other way on Wednesday. Strong cold front moves on through. Cloudy, windy, maybe a few scattered flurries. Nothing that's going to cause any travel problems. I'll guarantee you that. Low 27 with a morning high of 30. Then steady or falling temperatures. Dry on Thanksgiving, but chilly. Mostly sunny. We start off as a hockey stick at 7 degrees. Double deuces, 22. Over daytime high. Friday, breezy, a gusty south wind. Partly sunny, low 14. Then steady or rising temp after midnight. Thursday night, Friday morning. Then Friday high right around 38. But the trip back home Saturday and Sunday, at least around here, I do not see any issues at all. Partly sunny both Saturday and Sunday. Highs of 38 to 43.
Currently 37 degrees in KFGO studios. More afternoons live with Tyler Axness coming up right after this.
We're 5 minutes until the top of the hour, 4 o'clock on a Monday afternoon. Hope it's been treating you well. And I just got this text in saying Milo Schwab, who's a Denver attorney, has already filed the civil suit against Rittenhouse and the Kenosha police on behalf of the family of Joseph Rosenbaum. So there is already a civil suit out there. And Joseph Rosenbaum, I do believe, is one of the two that had deceased. So, and I just did a quick Google here. And yeah, at a Denver CBS affiliate, they were talking about that. The fallout from that night, it represents the two that were shot. I'm trying to learn on the go here as to this lawsuit. But they're saying that it's raising questions. How did the police respond? Were the police too cozy with vigilantes walking the streets? So it's not just Rosenbaum. It's also the Kenosha police that the civil suit is going against. So, yeah, we'll have to follow along with that because it's not over as far as the legal side. The criminal, yep, that's behind. A jury made their decision. And that's one thing I was happy because there was attempts to inject partisan politics in this again. On Friday when we're talking, and Joe Biden, Democrat, said he wasn't happy with it, but he got to respect the jury system because it worked. It did. I mean, he might not be happy with the outcome, That's why I keep coming back to you. How many of you sat and took in that trial, that your opinion as to what happened that night and to what should happen to this Kyle Rittenhouse? Did it change at all? For me, it did a little bit. I'll admit that right here. And we could have that conversation on the flip side. Derek Kant's going to be in studio. We'll talk sports right after CBS National News. We'll check back in with Paul Juergens as well. You know what? If FCS is going through the Fargo Dome, I'm not sure that a whole lot of people are surprised when they saw that. But we'll break down that bracket. We'll talk about UND hockey. And, of course, we'll talk Minnesota Vikings, Green Bay Packers. That game you caught right here. We'll play that audio of Paul Allen upset at some coach from Green Bay after the game. We don't know all the details. We're trying to figure out, and maybe this week when we have our Vikings Weekly Update with Paul Allen, maybe he'll be gracious enough to tell us what exactly was said. But we'll break it down next right here on KFGO. Stay with us. KFGO time is 4:05 Monday afternoon, and you are locked into Afternoons Live. I'm Tyler Axness, your host. Eric Johnson, your producer. We're going to be with you to the 5 o'clock punch-out. Lots of sports to recap from the weekend. We got Derek Hansen, host of Couch Potato Radio, in studio. We'll do that. We'll start off Minnesota, Green Bay. We'll talk about the FCS. We'll talk UND hockey as well. Plus, there's some volleyball championships. There's still playoffs when it comes to Minnesota. There's a lot to cover. If you want to join the conversation, here's how you can do so. The Laney studio line is going to be open to you the whole rest of the way at 237-594. You can also text into the text club here at 35270. We'll have that conversation, plus we'll get you a little bit more in that mood of Thanksgiving in the final half hour of today's show. Anything else you want to get off your chest, I'm here for you. We're watching the monitors, and we're seeing old Tucker Carlson. Kyle right now says it's going to be a night. I got a little bit more to say about that. In the meantime, let's get you caught up with Paul Jurgens of the KFGO News Center.
KFGO News, Fargo-Moorhead, partly sunny. It is 36. Governor Walz has activated the National Guard to serve as skilled nursing rapid response teams to support healthcare facilities with severe staffing shortages. Over the next 7 days, 400 soldiers and airmen will train as certified nursing assistants and temporary nursing aides to support the activation. The Department of Health and National Guard medical staff will provide the training. As Afghan resettlement continues throughout the U.S., some North Dakota employers are jumping at the opportunity to partner with the refugees and fill thousands of job openings in the state. Dan Hanaher, Field Director for Lutheran Immigration and Refugee Service in North Dakota, says the state is expected to settle 49 Afghan refugees. He said the Afghan Placement and Assistance Program has the attention of local businesses who are badly in need of help. Mike Arnson, who manages Fargo glass window manufacturing plant Cardinal IG and served in Iraq as an Army officer, called the refugees heroes. Cardinal IG has hired several Afghans, and given the opportunity, Arnson says he would hire more. One person was killed and 2 others were hurt in an early morning head-on crash this morning near Thief River Falls, Minnesota. The State Patrol says a subcompact crashed over the center line west of Highway 59 and collided head-on with a pickup coming from the opposite direction. The pickup driver died. A man and woman from Red Lake Falls were taken to Sanford Hospital in Thief River Falls with non-life-threatening injuries. The crash happened around 12:30 this morning. State lawmakers in St. Paul have started to wrangle with redistricting, redrawing legislative and congressional district boundaries to reflect population shifts in the 2020 census. But a top political analyst predicts Democrats and Republicans won't be able to agree. Hamline University's David Schultz points out in every decade since the 1960s except one, the courts have had to step in.
And they have to do it because of why? Redistricting is all about power in politics, and the two parties don't agree on the same principles of how lines should be drawn because they want to draw the lines to their own advantage.
House Democrats rolled out their plan last Friday. They're pledging to work up until the February 15th deadline to get a bill to the governor's desk. Fargo-Moorhead, a clearing sky tonight, overnight low about 25, and then we'll start to see temperatures rise or hold steady on our way to a high tomorrow of near 50, mostly sunny. For Wednesday, likely a high of about 30 in the morning and steady or slowly falling temperatures, cloudy, windy, maybe some flurries. 22 for Thanksgiving Day, mostly sunny. Partly sunny then Friday, 38. 36 degrees. Paul Jurgens, News Radio, KFGO.
Joining me in the KFGO studio, sponsored by Blackfish Days sale at the Detroit Lakes Outlet Recreation.com store, Derek Hansen. This Black Friday already.
I know, it's crazy, isn't it?
Wild.
It really is. Yeah, you mentioned that. People are probably getting a little antsy to get maybe a ice castle out at Outlet Recreation right now.
I know.
You drive by the ponds. Went to my parents the other day, and some of the smaller lakes and ponds are got some ice on it. So, yeah, if you get a couple more of these cooler nights, not much wind, so it'd be nice flat to be a good start.
That would be, yeah.
Although tomorrow might go back to where we started if it gets up to 50 degrees.
Yeah, a high of 50, mostly sunny and breezy. Yeah, that dang wind, don't get me started.
Oh, yesterday was awful. Mm-hmm. I mean, that felt cold.
Yeah.
And we all know how much I like winter and cold, although I do want snow, just maybe not till like Christmas time, and then give us a whole bunch of it because We need the water. We need
the moisture. Yeah, it's definitely there. Yeah. Let's talk sports. That's why I called you in. Thanks for coming in. You happy yesterday? It was a fun game. For those that had to be there, even a Green Bay Packers, that was just a fun all-around game.
Yeah, it really was. I mean, I said that I think to Dave Schultz yesterday on Couch Potato Radio. He just said, that's why the NFL is number one with a bullet. It's games like that. You have a couple of talented quarterbacks slinging around and two defenses trying to stop the other two very talented quarterbacks, and he just shows just a few plays here and there. I mean, Kirk Cousins, you thought he threw 2 interceptions. He didn't. One was dropped, actually. I don't think I've ever experienced that where we go to the 2-minute warning thinking, oh, my goodness, they blew it. It's over. And everyone's going to complain about Kirk Cousins tomorrow and all that. And then you come back from break. After further review, the Vikings still have the ball, put 2:01 on the clock. I'm like, what just happened here? And then they marched on the field and got it done. And I got to say, Coach Zimmer, I give you a lot of credit. Because with your history of field goal kickers, to go and take the knee and play for the field goal, which was really smart. And he addressed it in the post game that
keeping Rodgers off the field.
Exactly. He said, I want number 12 to grab the ball. It's the smartest thing you can do. It's just that the other 31 teams, it's really smart. That 32nd team we're talking about from Minnesota, you just don't know because of his history. And it's not like Joseph put it right down the middle either. No. It started angling towards the right. I'm like, you got to be kidding me. And he got it in. The life of a Viking fan was crazy. And so they executed that perfectly. And so they move on to get to 500 now. And I think this is a pretty intriguing weekend coming up, I think, as far as where the NFC is at. Because I think the Vikings can knock San Francisco out of any playoff talk. San Francisco could make it really interesting if they win against Minnesota. The Rams and the Packers, I mean, the Rams kind of got to get in the right direction. They're a little desperate for a win right now. They got to go to Lambeau. And the Packers, obviously, they could probably wrap up the division if they can win this game. So,
but I was saying earlier on, this is still so wide open.
Oh, for sure.
League this year. I mean, any given Sunday, these, somebody that a one-win team going off and knocking off the top dog in any given division. It's just been unreal.
Would you bet your firstborn on if you had to pick for $1 billion? Would you really pick 2 teams right now that you would guaranteed are going to go to SoFi? I mean, who's going to be the 1 seed? I think that even is in debate.
2 weeks ago was the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah.
Now
it still could be.
Yeah.
After yesterday, but it's an interesting study of just how parity really is there for the NFL right now. And I think you could say the first time we'll have a 7th seed in the playoffs, and who could rule out the 7th seed actually winning?
Yeah,
I mean, honestly,
it's up for grabs for any one of these teams right now.
Yeah, it makes it interesting. You kind of like to have that team that everyone aims for. Well, the Cowboys are on the wrong side of things right now. They got to get right, and they got to get right in 3 days here. I mean, they play the Raiders on Thanksgiving, I think, here coming up on Thursday.
Raiders haven't lost 3 in a row, too, I think.
Yeah, so 2 teams desperate for a win there as well.
Let's go back to the Vikings here because we've all talked about they have all these weapons on offense and been utilizing them. I think somebody must have been listening or they finally got it together. Clinton Kubiak. I mean, you got Justin Jefferson now in the backfield at times.
I'm so glad that they must be listening to us here on KFGO because I've been talking about how you need to get to Justin Jefferson to open things up for Dalvin Cook, and that's it. I mean, this would be a team that sometimes you're just going to have to run to set up, or pass to set up the run. And if it works out where you can run it first, great. But you could really see that many of these Justin Jefferson plays are opening things up for Dalvin Cook, especially on that last drive, where they're able to take advantage of it, a couple big runs there, and they're able to finish off the Packers because of it. So that is a big, big deal.
Kirk Cousins is playing some of the best quarterback in this entire league. But they're not. You don't hear him. I get it. You have wins and losses that play a factor in this. And I'm not saying that he's playing MVP caliber, but it seems as though whenever we're talking MVPs, it's about quarterbacks. Well, I mean, you think he's got to be a part of the discussion at some point.
Yeah, I think if they get to 8-5, he will be.
Yeah,
I think that's
it's
where
wins and losses.
Yeah, if he goes out and he beats San Francisco, Detroit, and Pittsburgh, we're saying he's an MVP candidate. I mean, but if he goes, all of a sudden they go 5-8, then it's all for naught. So you bring up a good point. I think if they're able to qualify for the playoffs or keep on winning and then make it very interesting here, the last game of the season against Green Bay at Lambeau, I think that will be talked about. If he beats Rodgers again
twice,
I mean, and maybe even gets closer to the NFC North crown. Absolutely. I don't think there's any question.
Yeah, and Rodgers being the former MVP just last year, and I mean, he seemed he was off a little bit in the first half. I don't know if it was that toe that was in fact bothering him, but I mean, certainly being Rodgers put it together in the second half.
Well, I think Mike Zimmer gave him some interesting looks too.
Yeah.
And I think that he was keeping him off of pace, so a little bit of everything. He wasn't able to roll out and make those amazing throws that Aaron Rodgers makes on the run. You're right on that. So that did factor in. I think I thought Zimmer called an awful second half of the game. Way too many blitzes. He was putting Xavier Woods, Mackenzie Alexander in awful spots because of that. And he got a little bit away from what he was. I think he kind of overthought it. Well, they'll make adjustments, so I got to adjust to what they want are going to adjust to it. And I just thought it was a strange taking that many risks defensively in the second half when you had the lead was really weird to me.
Yeah, and then I think that's a fair argument too, because when it comes to adjustments at halftime, I always felt that they hadn't done enough of it before. It seems as though at halftime, the other team was always making the adjustments, and that's where the Vikings were losing these games because there was no adjustments made.
Well, and I think probably what happened, he tried to make some adjustments because this thing at the end of the first half of teams just going down and carving them up and maybe playing too soft. Maybe he's trying to overcompensate for that. Somewhere in the middle, you got to find it. And I think somehow, Xavier Woods, God bless you, but this Cam Bynum, this kid that came in and got an interception, has been making plays at the safety position. Yeah. Somehow they got to see if they can get some type of scheme where both he and Harrison Smith can be on the field at the same time because he's too talented and Woods just doesn't seem like the player he used to be in his prime with the Cowboys.
Yeah. Derek Hansen, my guest host of Couch Potato Radio. Paul Allen, the voice of the Minnesota Vikings. Did you see what happened?
No.
Okay, so
I listened to a lot. I listened to most of the radio broadcasts.
Yeah, I think this was on the Vikings.com. So after the game, you go onto the field, and he had an interaction with a Green Bay Packer coach. I don't know which one. Do we have the audio for that, Eric? Take a listen to this.
All week, PA. They were talking about how Eric Stokes was going to guard JJ, guard Adam Thielen. We didn't see that today.
Yeah, you're baiting me right now because you saw what happened right before this. And you know what? I'm going to take the high road on this Green Bay Packers coach looking at me saying, you better not talk into that microphone and give your team any credit. I'm going to take the high road on it and say I'm very impressed with the Green Bay Packers finding a way to win 8 games despite all those injuries, A-Rod's toe, COVID, line, and everything. So I'm not, going to say to that coach what I wanted to say, like, you can go ahead and put Eric Stokes and Justin Jefferson the rest of his career. And like he did in 2019 when he was with LSU and Stokes was with Georgia, he killed him. And he killed him again today, and he will kill him every single time they meet. So I'm going to end it right like that. I got to say, in my 20 years of calling Vikings games, that's about the first time I've ever had a coach say something like that to me. So best of luck to you guys the rest of the way, and quite honestly, I hope you lose every single freaking game the rest of the year.
Well, speaking of coaches, Mike Zimmer's in a good mood, Lever. His guys are 9-13.
Tell me that's not a bit of a rivalry going on between those two organizations.
Well, I think that to PA's point, what coach goes and talks to the play-by-play guy of the other team? That's weird to me. You're a professional in the National Football League. You're not going to give any credit to the Vikings?
Yeah,
seriously?
For winning that game?
Seriously, Coach?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, that these guys, no matter what you say, these guys are battling, and to their credit, they're making a lot of money, and they still want to win. You'll even see that from the Detroit Lions coming up on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
I
hope they get one, by the way.
Well, yeah. But
just not against the Vikings is what you're saying?
Yeah, exactly. Let them beat the Bears and not the Vikings here coming up in a couple weeks.
Yeah,
that's bizarre to me. I just can't believe that anyone would. If I'm sitting there as LaFleur and I hear that, I'm going, "What are you doing?"
Right.
I mean, we have to have. I think the one thing about this rivalry is there's a lot of respect. I mean, as a Viking fan, I respect the history of the Green Bay Packers and 13 World Championships, the aura, the mystique of Lambeau Field. I envy a lot of what they have because of it, right? And so the fact that they're a good franchise that has had 2 quarterbacks over most of my lifetime that have dominated the league, it's impressive.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, so I can't imagine me ever saying that is don't give your team credit. That's just bizarre.
I've never seen him as you can clearly you didn't see it, you heard it, but he was mad. He was angry.
Well, it's just so unprofessional from the coach.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's so
don't give your
weird.
team credit for winning. What?
And if I'm a talk show host, man, I'm eating this up if I'm PA.
Oh, I bet you today on his show out of
I'd be like, hey, I mean, we're under your skin.
Yeah.
The play-by-play voice of the Vikings, I'm under your skin. What on God's green earth is going on there? That is weird.
Yeah, we'll ask him if we get a chance.
I can't
to visit
wait
this
for
week.
that.
Yeah, hey, so tell me more, PA. You got more time for me? We haven't gotten into half of what I need to talk
I'll be
about.
here till 6.
Okay, well, you sticking around. Derek Hans is my guest, host of Couch Potato Radio. He's got the Drive Time News. We got 40 more minutes with your radio on Afternoons Live. I'm Tyler Axness. Stay here.
It belongs to a creature from outer space. From outer space.
According to the sleuths on the World Wide Web, maybe we tracked down which coach
PA
was.
A former Viking coach,
yes.
assistant coach.
We got about 4 minutes to dissect this for me.
So that could make sense. And I'd love to have the context, because knowing Paul Allen a little bit, off the air, just kind of if he maybe took it wrong, or if it started off as friendly banter for someone he knew.
Yeah.
I think he used to have him on a show quite a bit too. So I don't know, because it may be one of these things that out of context, maybe they'll get together, or we can just add to the juice of it. I don't know.
Throw some gasoline and watch that.
Yeah, right.
From the floor.
Make the January 2nd matchup even more interesting, I think.
I do like the scheduling of the NFL as well, because you talk about, it's that late. The last 2 weeks are usually within your own division. And I mean, these games matter. They're all the way through.
They do, but it is really a eye-popping thing to look at the schedule and see January 9th is week 17.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that is late. I mean, that is supposed to be super wild card weekend usually. And so that is a really late end of the season to me. It'd be fine as a football fan. I'm all for it.
Yeah, give me another week.
Yeah, I did. That is crazy and for me, I mean, my perfect world is the Super Bowl and the next week starts the NCAA tournament. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'd be all for that because February can be really a black hole for sports. Sometimes you're kind of in the dog days of the basketball and hockey. Just you're waiting for the postseason to start at both the college and the pro level, and the March makes everything better. But February it's the shortest month, but seem to be the longest month for sports fans.
UND hockey. You mentioned just hockey now. Yeah. Big week up there at the Alaris, or at the Ralph. Pardon me.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was they got off to a good start, getting the first goal against the Bulldogs on Friday night, and then boom, 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 4 all of a sudden from the Bulldogs, and then they really played tough and were able to get the win on Saturday night. They needed to stay out of the box on Friday. Now, that was the biggest thing, just taking penalties that they didn't need. So, and a lot of them were legit too. But that was a matchup of teams that they had the 5 overtime game last March. I wouldn't be surprised if you see them match up down the road. They might get higher seeds enough to the fact that they won't see each other in the same region, and who knows how far they could go. Two very, very good, two of the best programs in the country, no doubt.
And this coming weekend, we're going to have some of that right here on KFGO. Yep. In fact, some unique programming on Friday. I think Travis Dunn and you are going to be doing a special for.
That was some fun. A game on hockey. Obviously, with Thanksgiving is going to move to a Friday essentially with Travis Dunn and the gang. So we'll do that for you and get you ready for that matchup. And I'm sure he has plenty of stories. He'll talk about his days of playing for UND. Travis Dunn, part of that 1980 national championship team, and they feel like they had one stolen from them just with the flying Neil Broughton goal that got the Gophers one in Detroit. So, no, it should be a lot of fun getting you ready for that. Watch a little bit because it was on Bally Sports North of the Gophers versus Penn State, and UND should be able to I'm a guy in Western Minnesota. I don't have the biggest dog in this fight. Yeah. Usually I follow UND hockey, obviously, for a lot of reasons, and I've pulled for the Gophers in most every sport, and whoever wins, going in deeper, I certainly always want them to win the national championship. But I think the UND should be able to take care of them from what I saw on Friday and Saturday. But it's hockey, so you never know. Yeah, you can get swept, too.
That's why you play the game. Mm-hmm. In fact, you'll be able to catch that right here at KFGO. I got to get you caught up with KFGO News. Paul Jurgens will do that. We'll talk about FCS. The bracket came out.
Yeah.
The dues and all that. That's coming up right after this. You want to join the conversation, 35270. And, of course, Elaney's studio line available as well, 237-5948. This is KFGO Fargo. Stay here.
KFGO News, partly cloudy, Fargo-Moorhead. It is 35 degrees. I'm Paul Jerkins. The process of resettling dozens of Afghan refugees in North Dakota continues. Dan Hanaher is Field Director for Lutheran Immigration and Refugee Service North Dakota.
To date, we will have received 23, all with either family ties or friend ties. It's what we call U.S. ties. So they're all being welcomed by people that they know, either from family or friendship, and are resettling into mostly the Fargo area, although we have had an individual settle in Lisbon and another in Gwinner. But it's moving rapidly, but so far smoothly.
North Dakota is expected to see a total of 49 Afghan evacuees. Hanaher says with the thousands of job openings locally, employment opportunities are a blessing. He says employers are chomping at the bit to find workers, and the businesses he has talked with are well aware of the quality of the work of the new arrivals. 35, this is KFGO News. $35 degrees, partly cloudy. This is KFGO News. With a nearly $2 trillion spending package called Build Back Better by the White House headed to the Senate for consideration, some lawmakers are hoping the package can be trimmed. 7th District Republican Congresswoman Michelle Fishbach says the bill is just too big. She says she hopes Senate Republicans will be able to lower the cost of the bill and send it back to the House. Twin Cities-based Target will no longer open its stores on Thanksgiving Day, making permanent a shift to the unofficial start of the holiday season that was suspended during the pandemic. To limit crowds in stores, retailers last year were forced to turn what had become a weekend shopping blitz into an extended event, with holiday sales beginning as early as October. North Dakota Game and Fish has announced a plan to bring landowners, conservation groups, scientists, and others together to restore native grasslands. North Dakota has lost more than 70% of its native prairie, which is essential for wildlife, pollinators, ranching, and communities. The Meadowlark Initiative allows farmers and ranchers to plant marginal cropland back to diverse native perennial grasslands for grazing. Governor Walz returned this weekend from a week-long overseas trip. Walz and a delegation of business leaders, teachers, and state government officials visited the United Kingdom and Finland to promote Minnesota as a destination for business investment and opportunity. The Walz administration called the trip productive. The delegation included representatives from around 50 organizations in the medical, food, agriculture, technology, and education sectors. Clearway, Minnesota will close at the end of the year after 24 years. The organization, founded in 1998, has worked to end smoking and shed light on what it calls the harms caused by cigarette smoking and tobacco use. Over $200 million of the state of Minnesota's settlement with cigarette manufacturers was used to found Clearway. The organization was only meant to be a limited life organization from the beginning. KFGO Weather Center forecast from meteorologist Tom Shemansky, a mostly clear sky. Temperature overnight about 25 and then holding steady or slowly rising toward morning. Our high tomorrow under a mostly sunny sky about 50. Wednesday, morning high of 30, cloudy, windy, scattered flurries. Thursday, Thanksgiving Day, 22 for the afternoon high. Partly sunny on Friday and 38. And for the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, partly sunny skies. Highs 38 to 43. Fargo-Moorhead, it is partly cloudy and 35. Paul Jerkins, News Radio, KFGO.
Want to remind you, the Coffee with KFGO is tomorrow down at the Hole in One Bar and Grill in Foreman, North Dakota, 6:30 to 10 a.m. Get on down there, have some coffee, have some donuts. That is on us. In fact, I want to thank our sponsors, Vision Ford and Wapton as well, because coffee's on us, and you know what? They also bring a check to donate to some local organizations. So stop by down there. I'm going to be joining you at 10 o'clock on these very airwaves. But if you're in the area, down at Foreman or in that vicinity, stop on by between 6:30 and 10 a.m. You'll have a lot of personalities down there, and you're all invited. CBS National News on the way. We'll continue to recap the weekend in sports. FCS Brackets out. We'll break that down next. FCS playoff time is upon us, and you know what? They put out the bracket over the weekend here. Missouri Valley Football Conference, 6 schools in the playoffs. Big Sky had 5. Looking at some of this, you're going to have at Brookings, you're going to have UC Davis taking on South Dakota State. The one that certainly would be paying attention to up in this area, of course, now I can't find where you are, but it's I think it's Vermilion at South Dakota. Or not, it's in Vermilion, of course. I mean, Southern Illinois at South Dakota is the one that's got our attention, Derek. And NDSU getting number 2 seed. Games are going through the dome is what that means.
Yeah, and how interesting would it be if everything goes chalk and JMU probably going FBS here? Mm-hmm. How interesting that would be, right? To the history of that and kind of the semifinal game that shook the foundations and of Fargo, right? Not going to Frisco that year. So that would really be a story if they could get together again. That'd be a lot of fun. A couple of things that's really stood out to me is kind of some of the interesting matchups. Mm-hmm. If Southern Illinois doesn't lose to Youngstown State, they're probably hosting South Dakota instead of going to South Dakota, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
And South Dakota, who NDSU just played and throttled, hey, congratulations. If you win, you get to go back to the Fargo Dome and have that experience again. So we'll see. The other thing I was watching kind of out in the western area there is Montana, who defeated Brent Vegan and the Montana State Bobcats. So they go on, they get a 9-2 record. They beat Washington, who just fired their coach. Well, they'll wait the winner of their conference rival, Eastern Washington or UNI.
Yeah, UNI. Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be kind of a matchup to watch, too, is UNI taking on Eastern Washington. And, boy, Cal Davis going up against South Dakota State. That's going to be an interesting, they don't draw that well over the Thanksgiving weekend. We've seen that before when South Dakota State has had that opening weekend. So depending upon how the weather is, we'll see if a UC Davis can really adjust to that at all. So some pretty good matchups early on here. Sam Houston State, obviously 10-0. They're rolling, and they'll be looking to try to win back-to-back titles, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do.
Yeah, I mean, there was really no surprises, I think, in this. No. And UND came so dang close, to actually getting into this playoff, but unfortunately didn't get in this year. I was going for, and I said it on Friday, I was going for UND this weekend.
Yeah, they missed so many opportunities. Yeah. You think about their, you look at the Vikings 5-5 record. You look at where UND's record is. Mm-hmm. It's very similar. Just so many close games that they could not just finish, right?
Right.
Otherwise, if they defeat Southern Illinois, they're probably facing off against South Dakota this weekend instead of Southern Illinois, because that was the game. That's the one game I think they really thought they should have had. They had it and they lost it in the last few moments. So. I think Bubba's going to rebound. They had such a good spring schedule.
They did,
Forget about their, their co-conference champions in the spring season. So good off season. Hopefully some good recruiting. They can be back, and I know he'll be talking about that quite a bit tonight at 6:00 for the last UND quarterback coaches show.
Yeah, I hope it seems as though the path and the course is heading in the right direction at least.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and I think there's something to be said. We were talking about this, Jack Michaels, Matt English, and I. Dan Mullen gets fired at the University of Florida, and they just were in the SEC championship game facing Alabama, and they just gave Alabama fits earlier this year, but just wheels have kind of come off, a few injuries. I just don't know if you fire them. I mean, are college coaches now at the big boy level not allowed to have a bad year?
Yeah, it gets that.
Just one of you just have one of these years that just isn't working out unless there's a bunch of things behind the scenes. Because I go back to Craig Bowl after those 2 amazing games against University of Minnesota, and then you got Steve Walker graduates, and there's just they had a lot of turnover. They go 3-8, and people are kind of grumbling. Oh, what do you think? Is it going in the right direction? They have their best recruiting year, and the rest is history, right?
I think
imagine if Gene Taylor said, "You know what? This isn't going to work. You had a bad year. We expect more here."
Yeah.
Sorry, Craig Bowl.
Tradition, yeah.
I mean, could you imagine that? That would be the worst thing. And I think you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, you look at the Iowa Hawkeyes. Yeah, they have similar jerseys, but they also are very similar. They don't fire coaches. Hayden Fry into Kirk Ferentz. You got Mike Tomlin, Bill Cowher, and Chuck Noll. Those are the 3 coaches that have coached in my lifetime. For one organization.
Yeah.
That is amazing at almost 50 years, isn't it?
That is. And they're making bank now at
they're
that
one of the-
level too. It's
Yeah.
just a phenomenal seeing what some of these guys are pulling in.
So I just think there's something to. It's okay to have a bad season. I just think that people have to. If it goes in the wrong direction, like 3 years in a row, okay.
Yeah, then it's time to maybe realize.
But man, I tell you, the patience that you have to have, and I think that I'm coming full circle here. I think Bubba just keep on keeping on, right? I mean, are you going to do much better? You don't want to. I think that even though he didn't make the playoffs, he certainly is a guy that a lot of people respect. The high school coaches and they reach and respect him, and that's a big thing when you're trying to recruit local kids. So, yeah, I like what they're doing. Hopefully, 2022 will be better.
Tyler, would you replay Paul Allen's comments regarding the Green Bay coach for those of us just getting off work to miss the story? I don't know if we still have the audio, but I can direct you to it. I mean, it was online. It was part of the Vikings.com. They do the video wrap up at the end. It's Ben Lieberhim. And I mean, what it is, and we're trying to figure out, was it something taken out of context, or was it turned away, or what's the history? Because it sounds like this Green Bay coach may, if it is the people that online individuals are pointing to, a former Vikings coach. So who knows? It just was unusual. I found it interesting. That's why I had to play it.
It's very unusual for the play-by-play voice of anyone to get in an argument with anyone.
Yeah.
They usually just, I mean, can you imagine Corey Provis and Chris Atterbury getting an argument with anyone?
Right.
It's just so strange.
Yeah, especially Atterbury. He doesn't seem like you would
No,
ever get
well, Provis not much more. Dan Gladden, on the other hand, well,
sure, right, yeah. Personalities there, aren't they?
he's been known as getting a few scraps over the years, so especially when he was a player.
They were talking about
Maybe that's a
how
little
Eric
different
Stokes was
story.
I want to get back to
guard
this
out.
coaching thing because you're talking about, geez, he
we
can't
didn't see
really
that
have
today.
a bad year. You know, it wasn't very many weeks ago that everybody said this is going to be Mike Zimmer's last year as coaching for the Vikings.
Still could be, yeah. Well,
This could be, but boy, if things are turned around, I mean, you got a 500 squad. I mean, is all forgiven? Because people are like, we got to blow it up. We got to start over, start fresh. Now you don't hear that anymore. Well, not this week. Maybe next week.
Let's talk next Monday, can we?
Okay, yes.
I mean, that's the thing with the NFL, right? It's just it's so reactionary. We're a reactionary society all the time anyway, and that's the way it's going to be here too. So I mean, for me, I don't think there's any question that it can change. If they don't make the playoffs, I think people will still want them out. I mean, the jury's still so much out of what's going to happen here. It's how they finish. They're 5-5 now. It's how they finish. If they go 8-9, yeah, people will still be calling for his head.
Yeah, be gone. Eric did say we still have the audio of Paul Allen. So somebody asked, Tyler, would you replay it? Sure. Take a listen to this.
Yeah, you're baiting me right now because you saw what happened right before this. And you know what? I'm going to take the high road on this Green Bay Packers coach looking at me saying, you better not talk into that microphone and give your team any credit. I'm going to take the high road on it and say I'm very impressed with the Green Bay Packers finding a way to win 8 games despite all those injuries, Rodgers' toe, COVID, line, and everything. So I'm not, going to say to that coach what I wanted to say, like, you can go ahead and put Eric Stokes and Justin Jefferson the rest of his career. And like he did in 2019 when he was with LSU and Stokes was with Georgia, he killed him. And he killed him again today, and he will kill him every single time they meet. So I'm going to end it right like that. I got to say, in my 20 years of calling Vikings games, that's about the first time I've ever had a coach say something like that to me. So best of luck to you guys the rest of the way. And quite honestly, I hope you lose every single freaking game the rest of the year.
How's that any different than any other year being a Viking fan?
Yeah, lose all those games. But either way, if you can see the video, you can see that he is like visibly angry. So, I mean, you can have the commentary there, but yeah, he was a little upset yesterday with some coach for some offhanded remark.
You gotta love. I think that's why people like PA, and maybe that's why some people don't like him, because he is so passionate about this team winning. So when he calls a game, he really can. It's almost like he's throwing stuff at the TV the way we are, right? And I think that's why a big segment of the fan base loves him, because he's riding with every emotion with it, and some people don't like that
because he's a homer type thing.
And that if you ever watch NFL films or you catch the highlights of these things on Sunday night, we got that NFL Sunday at 6:30 here on KFGO, and they play all the hometown calls. That's not an exclusive club.
No,
as far
really
as
is not.
The homers, as far as the way they act on all these things. So he wears it on his sleeve, and I don't know. We'll have to see. If it's the assistant coach, is it Jerry Gray? I think that if that is who they think it is, and he might come back and say, "I was just having fun with you." I was like, just trying to bust you up a little bit, having fun as a former friend. Then maybe that it could be misconstrued.
Then it's nothing,
right? Dude. It'll be interesting to see if anything comes out of this. Or if they even care in Green Bay at this point.
Probably not. They're like, who cares? Voice of the Vikings?
Yeah. Well, put it this way. I don't think you'll ever hear Wayne Larrivee get in an argument with an assistant coach on the other side.
Derek Hansen, my guest.
He's the play-by-play voice for the Packers, who's one of the best, by the way.
I got to get you this weather update from Too Tall Tom Szymanski. We'll see what's coming up on the Drive Time News Monday edition of Afternoons Live. We're rolling on.
Current readings, everyone. I'm KFGO Chief Meteorologist Too Tall Tom Szymanski. Overnight, mostly clear, down to about 25, stuck on a quarter, so to speak. And then temperatures after midnight will be steady or slowly rising. South to southeast wind 6 to 16. Tomorrow, mostly sunny, breezy. We'll try for 50. You heard me right. We'll try for 50. South wind at 11 to 26. Then it goes back the other way on Wednesday. Strong cold front moves on through. Cloudy, windy, maybe a few scattered flurries. Nothing that's going to cause any travel problems. I'll guarantee you that. Low 27 with a morning high of 30. Then steady or falling temperatures. Dry on Thanksgiving, but chilly. Mostly sunny. We start off at the hockey stick. That's 7 degrees. Double deuces, 22 for the daytime high. Friday, breezy, a gusty south wind. Partly sunny, low 14. Then steady or rising temp after midnight. Thursday night, Friday morning. And then Friday's high right around 38. For the trip back home, Saturday and Sunday, at least around here, I do not see any issues at all. Partly sunny both Saturday and Sunday. Highs from 38 to 43.
Currently 35 degrees at the KFGO Studios. Final segment of Afternoons Live with Tyler Axness. Coming up after this.
So how long do you have to be a resident of a community to actually be able to claim
championships?
Championships from teams. Because I mean,
so if I move to Kansas City, could I say, hey, I'm a Chiefs fan now?
Yeah. So all those titles.
I was so happy when we won the 2 world championships, especially the one 2 years ago against San Francisco. Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't think that works either.
No, it doesn't work out.
Not just the professional. I mean, all the way down to
I find that
high school
interesting.
Level. Yeah.
Well, but do you know people? Because I know a few people like that where they've given up on a team and they say, I am now a fan of this team and we've won. Like, I know people who have jumped ship to the Packers. I know people so you have people from Leeds who have probably moved somewhere, right? And they've raised a family and their kids are now going to school there. Now, while their kids are going to school there, they haven't won a title, right?
Right.
But if they went back to 1996 when they won the title and said, hey, we were state champions then, Yeah, but you were wearing a football jersey at Leeds. I mean, you can't do that.
Lines that cannot be crossed.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, I see too often those lines are, in fact,
I had a
crossed.
cousin one time, the Favre game, his first year.
Yeah.
We sat in the apartment and we cheered on the Vikings and we're so happy that they beat. Like 2 years later, all of a sudden he's an Aaron Rodgers fan. And now he's claiming titles.
Nope. Can't do it.
And then, so this is right after 2010 when they beat the Steelers, which was more salt to my wound. We blew it against the Saints and they come back next year and then they beat the Steelers from the Super Bowl. I'm not scarred or anything by all these things that they just find a way and my team doesn't, but that's a whole different thing.
That is a whole different thing.
Because
I'm just curious where
maybe
you
for like you, I mean, you're a Panthers fan, but you didn't like all of a sudden jump on because they won the Super Bowl. Now, granted, they had success. They lost to the Packers in the NFC Championship game.
Yep.
That's about
that was
the time.
First, yeah, that was
and you were
when
young enough to actually.
Yeah, I was impressionable.
Yeah. Like I was a Florida State fan before. They blew title after title, right? I mean, I guess I'm blessed to be fans of teams that kick field goals, wide left, wide right.
It's a curse.
Yeah, so we got that going on.
What's coming up?
That's why I want to eliminate field goals.
Yeah, I noticed.
In the NFL.
There's reasonings behind
and
that.
Coaching just isn't good.
What's coming up on the Drive Time News?
We'll recap the big weekend preview. What's coming up tonight? I know we got T-Wolves over in the Fan. We got Monday Night Football here. We'll tell you what happened today on Wall Street. Obviously, a lot of news. That tragedy in Wisconsin. I know CBS will have more on that. And oh my heavens! You're going to something that you just think is an annual event. We're coming up on Christmas time here and have that.
Yeah, it's for Christmas.
Sick to my stomach.
A parade. Oh. It's just, and it was intentional. Accidents happen. This guy meant to do this.
It's beyond bizarre.
With the world.
Rusty Halverson with Ag News and Ag Numbers, all that and much more. Another ride with Joel Heitkamp for the Drive Time News. I won't tell you how your trip is going home. We've been. Knock on wood, it's been pretty good as far as the commute home. So
yeah, I gotta tell you, the drive up north and the drive back down over the weekend, perfect conditions.
Yeah.
Roads were good. Glad that all that construction, saying like I-29 behind us now.
Don't worry, it'll be back.
Oh, it'll be cyclical. But yeah,
much like winter, it'll be back.
Well, that's the thing. I'm looking at it's November 22nd. We got Thanksgiving on Thursday, and looking at the forecast, I know it says that we're about average. It feels like we're spoiled so far as how pleasant the early start of this winter has been.
Yeah, well, I mean, you're right. We're cut into it quite a bit. We do need some winter, as I mentioned before. We need some precip. We need some snow. But boy, if you get into the first part of December and you haven't gone through a blizzard yet, that's a pretty good sign.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I should say winter storm, whatever, because blizzards more. We kind of had that a couple weeks ago.
We did, and it was nasty.
It was, but it wasn't. We've seen worse.
Well,
yeah. So hopefully we can get through it. And again, that forecast tomorrow looks nice.
Yeah, 50 degrees according to Too Tall Tom Schmansky.
It'll be a nice drive to Foreman.
Yeah, Foreman, coffee of KFGO. You get on out there. It's going to be at the Hole in One Bar and Grill in Foreman, North Dakota, 6:30 to 10. Coffee's on us, donuts on us. Thanks again, Division Ford and Wapton for allowing that. Are you going down?
I'm going to try to make it. Yeah. I have a couple of things that I got to tidy up here, so hopefully.
The dang manager role, huh?
Yeah.
I'll be here in the studio, taking you from 10 to 11 on News and Views. And in fact, tomorrow, I know one of the things that we have to talk about. We talked just briefly about Target saying, yeah, you know what, Thanksgiving employees have it off. That's the right move. I hope more businesses do that. But when it comes to just the worker shortage and what that might mean for holiday shopping, you and I were talking on the break about other places being closed.
Yeah, another one of my favorite restaurants. I looked at the door. It's changed quite a bit. The hours have changed off and on for the past few months. But, yeah, open Monday through Friday, 11 to 7, closed Saturday and Sunday. Well, couldn't believe it.
Oh, and this time of year, you have so many seasonal workers that are at the retail stores. They're driving FedEx. I mean, what's this going to do for your shopping? We're going to have that discussion tomorrow. Derek Hanson's got the Drive Time News coming up. You got UND QB Coaches Show, the last one of the year. And then, of course, Monday Night Football. The New York Giants are at Tampa Bay taking on the Buccaneers. Let's go, Giants. Folks, that's it for me today. I'm Tyler Axness, your host here on Afternoons Live. I'll be back tomorrow for more of the show. Telling you take care of yourselves. I'll check in right here on 790 AM and 104.7 FM KFGO.